All right. So today we're going to kind of dive into this whole idea of, you know, finding that sweet spot, I guess, between being, laid back and being responsible. We've got some really interesting material you sent over that deals with this concept of flippant behavior. And, I guess it kind of boils down to this question of balance,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the sources actually defines flippant as like lacking proper respect or seriousness.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking about the bigger picture, like, can you actually be too laid back in life?
Yeah.
And if so, what happens when you swing too far in either direction? Too chill or constantly stressed? I mean, your sources had some pretty fascinating takes on that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so like right off the bat, one of the sources actually suggests that being laid back can be a good thing.
Right.
When there's no like immediate crisis or anything. Like it's about giving ourselves permission to unwind,
recharge. Right. But, and this is key, it says that this unwinding, this like relaxation time shouldn't be, creating problems down the line, either for yourself or for other people. Like it has to be sustainable, not just like burying your head in the sand and hoping everything goes away.
Totally. Yeah. It can't just be avoiding reality because that always catches up with you.
Always.
So that's where this whole balance thing comes in, right? And your sources really emphasize that this like constant on-edge living, it just leads to burnout.
Absolutely.
But then they also point out that the other extreme, like the endless, lounging around, can actually create its own set of problems.
Yeah, exactly. They make this point that no matter which way you go, if you're constantly out of balance, there are going to be consequences. So you push yourself too hard all the time while you burn out. But then if you're never engaged, you kind of lose your sense of purpose even.
Right. And you know what? This one image comes to mind. It was in one of the sources. And it's like this person just totally zoned out in a hammock. But all around them, it's just chaos. Like unpaid bills are piling up. There's an alarm clock blaring, even like a spilled drink. What do you make of that image in the context of, this whole being laid back thing?
It's interesting, right? Because on the surface, it looks like ultimate relaxation. But beneath it all, there's this sense of unease. Like, yeah, you're chilling in the hammock, but are you really dealing with what needs to be dealt with? I think it perfectly captures that idea of being laid back to the point where it becomes detrimental. You're kind of detached from reality. And those issues, they're not going away. They're just getting bigger.
It's like, yeah, you escape for a minute, but there's a price to pay later. And it reminds me of this quote by Pablo Neruda: "You can cut all the flowers, but you cannot keep spring from coming." What do you think that means in relation to, finding balance?
Yeah. Such a powerful image, right? Because it speaks to this idea of natural cycles. Like you can try to suppress or ignore the need for activity and responsibility, just like you could cut down all the flowers. But that underlying force, that spring of, new demands and realities, it's always going to come back around. You can't just put it off forever.
Yeah, I love that. So like putting it all together, looking at what your sources had to say, I think it really highlights how personal this journey of finding balance is. It's not about sticking to some rigid schedule. It's about understanding that there are downsides to constantly leaning too far in either direction, whether that's, like you said, constant pressure or total disengagement.
Yeah, and going back to that Neruda quote, it makes you think, those new obligations, those consequences of not taking action, they're going to show up eventually. It doesn't matter if you're trying to live in this perpetual winter of just pure relaxation or if you're stuck in a never-ending summer of go, go, go.
So to everyone listening, what's one small thing you could do today to maybe create a more balanced climate in your own life, knowing that love, just like the seasons, it's always changing?
That's something to think about.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, thanks for joining us for the deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.